Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and this is a beginner's video on coin collecting that is actually something that any of you experienced people can chime in on and share your knowledge as well. I get a question oftentimes about how do you price a coin and how do you know what a coin is worth, and this is the type of thing that needs to be revisited from time to time just to kind of go over what we can go over, right? Because there's all kinds of places that you can find information. I mean, for example, this nice Curiosity World magazine, right? You might have a bunch of apps on your phone that you can look at, websites, right? You got a red book, you got a blue book. There's a little black book, which apparently all of our presidents have at their houses. There is also, of course, things like the gray sheet, or you can find price guides in Numismatic News. Prices, prices, and more prices, right? The price is right. Right. So, what are we going to do with all this stuff? Well, here's the thing. One of the things that you need to know is that coins don't have an absolute value. The coin market is suffering from a combination of really just the corporatization of the entire process and this weird analytics world that we've gone into, which is not really the real world, not exactly, right? So if analytics in sports tell you that, 18.2% of the time, something's going to happen. It doesn't mean that out of every 7 times it's going to happen. It just means it's a statistic, right? It's just a number. If coins trade at certain levels, they're just numbers. They're just numbers. They're just numbers. And it doesn't mean that the coin you have in front of you is going to be worth that to the next person that you try to sell it to. Or if you're going to try to buy a coin, that's going to be priced any specific way exactly. Now, here's the problem. Also, we're getting into more problems today. We're going to have some solutions as well. But the problem is, when you look online, you get these names from these companies, that are leading companies, and, they have price points on everything on their website. And you want these to be exact, right? Like in your mind, you kind of look like, okay, this should be an exact price, but it's not the spot price of silver. So this happens to be a Silver Eagle, which is why I have it, because the example of silver is one that I really want to make a comparison to. There's actually a trading spot price in silver on an open marketplace, right? There's the New York spot price for precious metals. You know exactly how much silver is in any ounce of silver value-wise based on that number. Now, the price will vary depending on what it is, but you can actually look at an exact price. There's not necessarily an exact price on most coins. Now, you can look around and you'll find people's buy prices, or bid prices as sometimes it's called. You'll have dealers that'll go ahead and say, hey, anytime you have one of these, I'll pay you exactly $45 for it. Okay, well, if you have an exact thing with an exact price, that's a good starting place. So if you have dealers in your area or national dealers that have a bid price for something, at least you have a starting point to understand, okay, I actually know that I have this coin in hand, and I know someone somewhere will actually pay me something for it, an exact amount. And that's what we're all kind of craving for, right? But if you think about it, the coin market's actually a lot more like the car market or the housing market, where there are certain areas and segments where things are going to trade a little bit differently depending on what region of the country you're in, and also just depending on exactly each particular coin. So in other words, you can look at 2 houses with the exact same square footage. So you can have 2 coins that have the exact same label on it, and the 2 coins will look different. And these 2 houses with the same square footage will look different, right? Same thing. Even though a coin has a label, it doesn't mean that it looks the same as the coin with the other label. It's not the same thing exactly, right? Also, it depends on the buyer and seller. That'll vary quite a bit as well. So the buyer and seller, they can negotiate things differently. Hey, if you want to go into a pawn shop and somebody has silver here and they're like, oh, I don't care, give me 25 bucks for it. And you're like, sweet, I know I got a guy over in upstate, he'll pay me 45 for that. Good for you, congratulations, right? But the real market for anything is what people are willing to buy it for, to pay you for it, right? That's the real market for just about anything in life. But to get more specific, all of these guides are simply guides. It's like if you go on Kelley Blue Book, we're going to go back to the car analogy. These are guides. They help you to understand something about the market, but they don't help you to understand the market perfectly because they can't, because they're not predictors of the market exactly, right? And they're not constantly trading in the marketplace, right? So as you look with your car analogy, if you look around town for a car and you have a certain model and make that you want, you can see a price trend, right? You can see that whatever car you're looking for, maybe it's $15,000 to $20,000 everywhere you look. Well, how is a price guide supposed to help you? Is it going to say this is exactly $15,000 or $20,000? Well, you know, in Kelley Blue Book, they use a range, right? You actually see a price point. Well, this is the price range for the car in this condition, but in this condition, this is the price range, but in bad condition, it's over here. And so one of the things that is lacking in the coin market is anything that really gives you exactly range, because they give you exact numbers, but exact numbers are not exact. And one of the things that disappoints me a little bit is the companies that use a lot of technology, I would think that they could have the numbers be a little bit more precise when it comes to trying to figure out what something is. But even then, you got to understand, they're pulling data points. If they're pulling from the internet, they can be pulling them from websites that are not necessarily as trusted as some others. I mean, some auction houses, it's very easy to understand what something's sold for. But, you know, sometimes it can be a little trickier when you're on eBay and something says it sells, but you don't know if it actually sold. You know, because a lot of those sales, there's a lot of nefarious sales on eBay. That's another subject for another day, right? So lots of nefarious things like phone calls. So the reason I bring all this up with these strange analogies and everything is just to say there's not a perfect way to understand exactly what any given coin is worth when we're talking about collector coins and when you're looking stuff up in the red book or the blue book. These are great guides. They'll tell you if a coin is more rare or not. All the guides do that, and that's what's really important about them. And yes, I want them to be more exact and more precise. As we've moved more and more to a world of commodification of the coin market, which is to say that it's just becoming a commodity, everyone kind of wants to have a more exact science for how things are priced. And, you know, they might get their wish when it comes to that, especially when it comes to the modern stuff. You know, so that maybe that'll be good for them. So for all of you who are watching this video and you already know a lot about the coin market, go ahead and leave your comments, yay or nay, help guide the young crowd. You got a lot of people that watch that are wanting to know, how do you know exactly what a coin is worth? My advice, of course, always is you look around the same way that you would. You use multiple pricing indexes that you look at. Don't fall in love with just any one of them, because at any given time they can be wrong, right? And also get to know the market of what people will actually pay for things. That's always very helpful to understand. And, you know, realize that at the end of the day, someone who's in business is going to buy it wholesale. But by the way, if you try to sell to a collector sometimes at your local coin club, they're going to try to do the same thing. That happens lots of times. It's not always a retail to retail thing. Not all the time. I'm just saying, just realize it's not just when you're trying to deal with someone who has a brick and mortar shop. So find out what someone's willing to pay for stuff. That gives you an actual price. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can leave your comments down below. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button. We even have some type of membership stuff. It's mysterious. It's kind of secret. And it's the Abraham Lincoln button. All right. Thanks so much for watching.